Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Deep Blue Renegade podcast. My name is Molly, also known as the Deep Blue Renegade, and I'd like to welcome you guys to episode 479-ish. um, Today is Saturday, January 25th, 2025, and I'm glad you could join me today. What would it be? I have to laugh a little bit because I had all these high hopes of having some finished objects, I think, 3 weeks ago when I last recorded. No, didn't happen. um, though I guess to be fair, what is it? Like, technically speaking, I have 3 projects going. But what is like, I don't know what happened. Outlook unclear. I also have a slightly unhappy Bambina right now, so I was hoping that the bouncer would be adequate for keeping her entertained, but alas, she had different plans. Yeah, you had different plans, Kathleen. You had different plans. So, as a result, we shall proceed with her, and this might be just a little bit extra challenging because of that. Well, whatever. Not sure what's gonna happen. That's fine. All right. Yeah. Well, we'll get you under the arm and call it good. So, what ended up getting the most, or I don't know, it's hard to tell. But this ended up getting a decent amount of love and attention. So, this is the Dark Father sock that I am knitting for a friend I taught how to knit. It is out of the Mustache Dark Father, which is a play on Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader. We are in the extra Vader part of my sock. And so in order to keep the color transitions continuous, I am knitting from both ends of the ball, which is why you see twisted yarn. And so I'm just gonna work the heel flap back and forth. For some reason, my stitch marker used to be in here. I guess isn't anymore. Jeez. Hopefully I figure out where that's hiding. So I'm gonna knit this to be the same length as the first sock. And then what I'll end up doing is resuming knitting from the original ball, or the original end of the ball, after the heel flap is complete. So I'll do the flap pickup in the leg yarn instead of go from there. So this got a decent amount of love. I started the heel flap yesterday, so whatever. Amazing how fast you can get something done if you have at least a little bit of time dedicated to it. So, we'll see how that ends up coming together. What it'll be, I still have about half the sock left in it after I get the heel flap done, but it's certainly going a little bit faster than the first sock, which I had to take pauses for carpal tunnel nonsense. I'm not wearing my gloves today. It doesn't feel, it only feels like a little weird. I needed to get my gloves washed. I probably needed more care and attention. Are you holding onto my shawl? Are you holding onto my shawl? I'm wearing a Daybreak shawl by Stephen West that I knit out of Malabrigo lace and Zauber ball in a rainbow-tastic, whatever. It is a rainbow-tastic shawl. Be like, eh. let's not let's not hold on to that, sweet pea. Okay. So the other thing, and honestly, maybe that's part of the setback. The other thing that I was working on is Joris. So this is an Anna Wilczek pattern. I These are the 7th and 8th Jorises that I've made. So one Joris has one arm, the original Joris has one arm, or whatever, the 7th Joris has one arm, the 8th Joris has two. I am getting ready. I'm getting ready now to, I think, separate for the fingers on this one, and once the fingers are done, then I will work on the arm on this guy. Uh-oh, uh-oh. So I am knitting these guys out of 2 yarns. So one of them is Seismic Buttersock, I think in Daily City Birthday Party, and then the other yarn is Mitchell's Hand-Dyed Creations in a unicorn colorway. Oof. Oof. Yeah, it's got some unicorns in it. So by holding the yarns doubled, it sort of makes it pretty good. They, or whatever, they're both neon rainbows. One of them's a pastel neon rainbow, and one of them's a neon rainbow with a lot of black in it. Yeah, significant black content. So, those are my whips. So, like, technically speaking, I guess that does count as 3. I did end up making another project page for the last Joris. One of them will be going to the Kathleen Bean, and the other one will be going to my niece Leona. We'll just hope that there's enough interesting things to look at right now. So that is the story there. Is I was hoping that I would have finished one of those 3 things, but maybe because I'm working on 3 things while keeping her alive. Yeah. Is it a little bit challenging keeping you alive sometimes? Yeah, it's fair. So, what would it be? And now it is the case where now I have to figure out how to grab. Or maybe it doesn't really matter. So I'm not sure what the status is, but I can't remember if I got any spinning done since the last episode. I'm pretty close to filling up a bobbin, and I am not close to spinning through the baggie, so I may need to break it another into another I might I might need to use an additional bobbin in order to get all of this ply to fit, and then I don't know if I need to like rubber bands or something like that in order to indicate which bobbins go with what plies, since my second ply also went a little bit over. I don't, yeah. So, but it is the case where I was able to get quite a bit of spinning done before the in-laws came in town. And so just this very morning, the last of the house guests ended up leaving. We also had a good friend come out to help with some home projects along with my in-laws. Um, so there is that. We were trying to make the most of the many hands possible. So would it be? And then it'll be the case where it's going to be a while until like our next planned trip. So it may be the case where the in-laws will be back again before that. So I think they're planning on coming out in March. So we'll see what goes down. So a little bit of spinning, not a ton because like I like having the spinning wheel set up in this room, and since it was being used as a guest room for the last 2 weeks, that's what we got. Let's see if we can bounce this baby again. Let's see if we can bounce. All right, it's looking promising. So I do have to laugh a little bit about this project. Because I definitely had like a couple of times where I would get to a certain point in this, and then realize that my stitch counts were off. So I think I just have to be a little bit more mindful of making sure my counts are correct before proceeding to knit a whole bunch of rows. So I just recovered from an error that I ended up catching on Monday. So I so I just barely recovered from an error that I ended up catching on Monday, where I went to, I think, to do the increases for the hands, and then found out that I had 2 extra stitches, and the 2 extra stitches were back at the beginning of the yarn. So the pattern occasionally has like strange formatting, but it does tell you everything that you need, like how many stitches in each and every row of the pattern. So it's my own fault for counting. And as we know, one thing you learn as a knitter is that you cannot count. Maybe I should count. But yeah, so we're just expanding out for the hand, and fingers will be very, very soon. All right, that's slobbering. That's put up. All right, that offering of bouncer was not accepted. So, well, that fell apart on me as I was transferring. So, um, in in the spirit, in the spirit of figuring out a way to use stash, um, I did finally decide what pattern I would like to knit my Maiden's Wish out of. So my Maiden's Wish is one of the probably, oh, hopefully there isn't a thumbs up on my whatever. I don't know, whatever. We'll find out. So Maiden's Wish is probably one of my most ridiculous skeins of handspun that I've made. I think I spun this in 2020, and it is a 6-ply fingering weight, and it's a BFL silk mix. I briefly contemplated buying some fiber to coordinate with it, and then concluded that it would be fairly heartbreaking to spin a project that fine and maybe not have it work out right. um and so what this guy has going for it is there's a lot of like light green and maroon, and then like a little bit of blue in it. And so what I was sort of, and so it was the case where I had to figure out which one of my favorite dyers had a very silky base. And so I ended up deciding that fiber optic was going to probably be my best bet. So they have a 50/50 merino silk base, and Kimber dyes 50 bajillion colorways. And so I selected 2 that I thought would look good with the yarn. And then I had an Instagram poll, and it was a nail biter finish. And then I concluded that it might just be worth it to get both of the colors, and be able to swatch with the side benefit being that I would like both of these colors anyways. And so whatever skeins that I didn't end up using in Go-Go Dynamo would be sorry, nose itch. Um, whichever ones I didn't use in Go-Go Dynamo would be usable anyways. So this one, why am I forgetting? So I think this one is so the gray one is Dolphin. And then the other one is Midnight. Okay, so I was choosing between Midnight and Dolphin. Midnight and Dolphin. Yeah, we were working on it, right? We were working on it. Oh, sorry, I'm bouncing the chair in addition, or the chair that the computer's on. So, Midnight and Dolphin. Midnight and Dolphin would be high contrast match for sure. But I wanted to use the hand spun. So, oh, oh, yeah. Is it sad? Okay. So, Midnight and Dolphin, would it be? And it would be the case for, I think, so, Dolphin probably does have the most contrast with the skein, now that I can see it in real life. But as you know, as you guys know, if I could make things more blue, I would. All right, we're gonna put you in the bouncer again. Since it doesn't seem like I can make you happy. Okie dokie. I got help. Actually, a small helper came by to assist, and my other helper was whatever, not cooperating, so my spouse is taking them all for a walk. Huzzah! So, what's going on here is, what would it be? So I need to make a decision, which may require swatching, as you do. Um, so if I put these together, it's definitely a lower contrast option. It seems like the value of the magenta and the midnight are quite close. But it does end up maybe picking up and highlighting a little bit more of the small amount of blue that is in the yarn. Based on how I applied this together, it's probably diluted the blue to a certain extent. So what I ended up doing with this yarn was I had it, I think, originally as like a 2-ply fractal, and then I chain plied that to create the cable. So it's a pretty complex hand spun skein. So like I can definitely see whatever. This is going to be a lower contrast option for sure. Now, going in the opposite direction, none of this yarn has any gray in it, but I do like a silk blend gray yarn. And so this obviously has strong contrast with everything in it, but it will be the case where this gray probably will end up toning down a bit um, the hand spun skein. But we do end up getting sort of that high contrast, which I think is the intent of the shawl. And then the final thing, which I think I was pondering about, sort of when I had all of these yarns together, was what would end up happening if I have the the hand spun as one color, and then I use two contrasts, so I have both the gray and the blue. We know that the blue and gray have really good contrast between them. And then it would just be a matter of figuring out how to work the pattern with two contrast colors instead of one contrast color. But that could end up potentially being an option as well. And definitely the case where I think looking at this on screen seems like it could have some potential for sure. And there's, would it be? It definitely depends on the part of the skate. So it would be the case where the midnight color is really only strongly contrasting with sort of the lighter green in this yarn. And that is the case where I think maybe what's cool about this yarn, or the cool about the Maiden's Wish, is that it has like two of the colors of iridescence. So basically, a bright green and a bright green and a magenta all sort of fool your brain into thinking it's iridescent or something like that, or that's sort of how you would end up creating that look. But I think swatching will be required, but I don't know. There's probably like actually not really a, I don't know, could that end up being proportional? Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, because then again, I'm not really sure about this here, or how that all ends up coming together. So, but definitely, whatever. I, since I wasn't sure which way I ended up wanting to go, like I feel like that was helpful. And then I am laughing at myself a little bit because there definitely was like a even darker blue, but that almost seemed like a little bit too dark, but in hindsight it was probably fine. And then would it be, I think that would it be in this case, this dolphin color is the case where it's contrasting with most of the skein, but maybe not as well with the lighter green bits of it. So I don't know. So there will probably end up needing to be at least a little bit of swatching in order to figure out which way I want to go. But I am looking forward to whatever, finding a way to use a handspun yarn. I already know, or would it be? It would be the case where, like, why would I knit the mystery knit along after the mystery is complete? And that just goes down to waiting until everything is revealed and finding out which way, what you'd like to do instead. Um, as you do. Um, and I don't know what I'm trying to. Let's see if I can't. You have to laugh a little bit because apparently Reddit ended up Reddit ended up blowing up the Ravelry hot right now. So just have to laugh at that a little bit. Do, do, do. And then I think I was intending on wearing my other Stephen West shawl. And honestly, it would be the case where looking at the pictures of this, like this does look quite stunning in a high contrast for sure. Um, and it would be the case there of looking at the pattern. Like I may need to sit down and figure out, for example, what one would end up being the one that I select for my handspun, or if it turns out that it's um, pretty even in terms of yarn usage. And then it would be the case where, at least for some of those initial parts, like you would end up seeing a lot of the beginning of the shawl when you're wearing it. It does look like there is sort of like there are, I think, three colors in that one, because there's a little bit of like a purpley in there, I think. But also the case where I think people have managed to incorporate more than one color in there. So, what it be? So I can definitely see like a scenario in which, yeah, I think that must be like the little like mohair fun. But I can definitely see the case where I can like alternate or things like that if I do end up deciding to use the dolphin and the midnight. And then those extra two skeins will likely end up finding uses, because it turns out that I have quite a bit of light gray plus blue available in the stash to try things out. As you do. So that's sort of where my head's at right now. Was just trying to get that sort of closed out, because I think that was sort of the only thing that had come to mind as I was like going through, or would it be? Like a lot of my stash has intended projects, some of it does not. And it was the case where when I saw The Maiden's Wish, um, and then also looking at all of my other handspun. Well, that's also the trick, right? Because I'm buying handspun in the saturated jewel tone colors that I love. And that means I don't have coordinating handspun skeins in lighter or darker colors with which to pair with my saturated jewel tones. And also, I don't think there was anything even close to what was going on here, because this is definitely like a special skein. And then it was also funny because I was like catching up on some Ravelry in the middle of the night, I'm assuming. And like some more Maiden's Wish came up on D-Stash, so in like the 2 years since I'd read the Nest thread. So it is the case. So even though this had been dyed as like a special event in 2015, like 10 years later, it's still sort of floating around to a certain extent. I definitely feel very justified in the fact that I bought 4 ounces for the mega sale during the mega sale, and then got 8 ounces a little bit later, and that I've spun it all at this point. We cannot say the same for the rest of my stash. Um, so in other news, like it does look like or would it be gonna end up taking a sabbatical of sorts in the month of July. So that should be fun. Um, should be fun. So it's gonna be like some sort of combination of work from home and vacation and what have you. Um, yeah, and then there is like a trip brewing right now where I'm trying to figure out all of the other details, but hopefully, hopefully that ends up coming together. Um, we'll see what happens. There's a lot of moving pieces, so hopefully we'll get it all sorted. Because the other thing is, what do we need to figure out like the childcare situation for the Kathleen Bean. So, and yeah, so it'll be interesting to say the least. Um, uh, so what else? Yeah, I guess, or would it be the only? So then that probably means the open question is it even? Oh, it's not even. Well, we'll have to work it out. The other question is whether or not I end up starting the Go-Go Dynamo sooner rather than later, and then leave the double brioche hat for later. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Or if it'll be the case where Go-Go Dynamo and double brioche hat will be my next projects. That's that seems like no compromise. I just have to finish the dragons, no big deal. Um, and so it'd be the case, at least for the shawl aspect of it. I'm probably gonna end up winding both of these balls. And if I need to reskein again, that's fine. Or I probably need to wind all of these. And then the only downside to picking the Go-Go Dynamo for this skein is that like there is definitely like, or would it be like it'll maybe take a little bit of high stepping to figure out ways of joining everything that doesn't involve cutting. I'm assuming there will end up needing to be some. Um, so it is the case where I will have to be mindful of that, at least. I don't know what that is. How do I feel about this one? Is this what I want to do? Or will it be the case where it'll end up taking away from the handspun? I don't know. It's hard. 'Cause I like them for their contrast, but it was definitely a tricky skein to find contrast for. So we shall see what I end up deciding. I'm gonna have to swatch and find out. So in terms of recording schedule, I guess I'm gonna end up playing it by ear. If I do manage to finish a project, I might record next week to get myself back on schedule. Um, but if I don't have anything finished by next week, then we'll do it in 2 weeks and call it good. Whatever, it's fine. And yeah, we'll go from there. But like definitely the case where would it be? We're probably in the part of my new parent leave where I am ready to be challenged, and I think I've queued up some nice challenges. So it's good. Though I've also given myself some extra work and admin to do, so we'll see how that goes. But not too crazy. So, with that, I hope you guys have a lovely week, and I look forward to talking to you guys soon. So, take care, guys. Bye bye.